Okay, are you ready to go into our next seminar, Intimate Soulmates? I'm going to say a lot of things which are normally never said from the pulpit. I will not ask for your forgiveness because I think it needs to be said. All right, we are all here to learn. And I have chosen to speak and address people on this very topic. Mainly, the main reason is nobody wants to talk about it. How many pastors have preached about this three-letter word, S-E-X, from the pulpit? Any pastors here? Have you preached about this in a marital relationship? Maybe you are afraid that your congregation will not accept what you have to say, but I can assure you that everything that's said this afternoon is from the Bible and nowhere else. I shouldn't say nowhere else, because there has been a lot of research recently that was done, and I will share with you some of this research and what they have discovered. Okay? But in Melbourne, I have spoken on this topic to several churches. I have not been beaten to death yet. So I think I will boldly continue to share what I'm learning. I'm still learning, and I continue to learn and to share because I feel that God has called me to this ministry. There's too much pain in marriages regarding this topic. I have people call me up and describe what they are going through, and it's very painful. And it's because we don't have a clear understanding of God's design for this area of our lives. So we will explore this together. I hope you will have questions, because it's through questions that we learn together. And perhaps I'm going to learn something from you too this afternoon. So let's all learn together. Let's go to the Bible. We'll go back to the beginning when God created human beings. And this very intimate section of their lives called sex. Let's turn to Genesis 2:19 and 20. Now the Lord God had formed out of the ground all the beasts of the field and all the birds of the air. He brought them to the man to see what he would name them. And whatever the man called each living creature, that was its name. So the man gave names to all the livestock, the birds of the air, and all the beasts of the field. But for Adam no suitable helper was found. So the Lord God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep. And while he was sleeping, he took one of the man's ribs and closed up the place with flesh. Then the Lord God made a woman from the rib he had taken out of the man, and he brought her to the man. Okay, when we looked at this text, when we looked at this first text, no suitable helper was found for Adam. So what do you expect the next text to say? So God made Eve, right? But it didn't happen that way. What did God do to Adam? What did he do? He caused Adam to go to sleep. I mean, if you are looking for a wife, will you be sleeping? Definitely not, right? But God put him to sleep. Adam had no inkling whatsoever what God was going to do. That's why somebody asked about how to find a soulmate, right? Go to sleep. And sleep well. Okay, so you will appear fresh and you will appear your best. When that person who is supposed to be your spouse looks at you and say, wow. Yes, Adam didn't say, I want someone with double eyelids, very important for Asians, or I need somebody with a high nose, 5'6", blah, blah, blah. No. You see, what happened was God was training Adam through this process of naming the animals. See, he would name the animals. God was training him to be the king of creation. All these gifts that he had created for Adam to enjoy, and Adam was to be answerable to the Creator. It was also training him to be a lover, because he was looking at the animals. Here comes Mr. and Mrs. Giraffe. He would call them giraffe, okay? Mr. and Mrs. Kangaroo. And me? What happened? I'm all alone. So God was like creating a vacuum in his heart for a mate. There was a longing within him that there was something missing. His counterpart was missing. And what was going to happen to him? So there was no suitable partner found for him. But he didn't know that God was doing premarital counseling for him and teaching him what it was going to be like. He had no one to talk to, no one to laugh with. He could see the Mr. and Mrs. Kangaroo hopping around together, leaping away, so much fun. But him, he was all alone. So God told Adam, now you go to sleep. Yeah? So that I can create a woman for you. He had no input whatsoever. From this we learn that God's gift of a wife comes from God, not from you going hunting. Okay? We don't want to go back to the cavemen where they go hunt for a wife or a husband. You don't have to do any hunting. Just trust that the Lord will bring it to pass. I remember when I was working in Korea, I worked there for almost 10 years at the division office. There was a beautiful Filipino lady there who was the president's secretary. She was a sweet lady, but she was single. And I asked her, I said, did you choose to be single? She said, no, Sally, I want to get married. But so far, nothing has happened. But I'm praying, she told me. I said, good, continue praying, and I will pray for you. And suddenly, one day, she got a message from a pastor in the US who had worked with her when she was young, in her early days of professional experience. She had been his secretary, and his wife had passed away for some time. And this man was inviting her to come and be his wife. Is that interesting? She was shocked out of the blue, and she knew this guy to be an upright, very devoted Christian. And just within a few weeks, blah, 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 she just packed up and she left and got married at 50. God sure took a long time to answer that prayer, but he knows what's best, right? So I'm always amazed by the miracles that God can do. But these come at his own time and in his own place. So let's trust him completely. He will provide. Really, he will provide. So what happened? After God created Eve, he brought her to the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman. She was taken out of man. Not woman, but woman. Yeah, some people said when women were created, woe betide the man. So the divine design is no mistake. Gladys Hunt is a Christian author. She died in 2010. But she wrote a lot of very meaningful books. The mutual attraction of male and female calls us to confront our aloneness, out of our independence to see what we need in each other, to affirm each other's personhood. I love this. To affirm each other's personhood, and to discover that in our mutual dependence, we solve the mystery of our existence. So beautifully expressed. That we discover ourselves through the marital relationship as we rub shoulders with one another in the most intimate manner. And then we can be blessed together, we grow together, and we go out to bless our community and share God's love as they look at us and our family and what true love is all about. Isn't that a beautiful design? But unfortunately, it has all been messed up by Satan, right? We live in a world where we have so much problems in marriage. And it's really sad as Satan works the hardest to attack families. We were made for life, and so we abhor loneliness. But today, there is a very serious loneliness pandemic. Those of you who are in the university, you know that there are many, many lonely people out there. Yeah. And we are uncomfortable with death and dying. We were designed for love. We hate loneliness. Now, there's no need for you to be married to be happy, for sure. But to be happy, we all need to be loved. And we are designed to enjoy the sensual. Look at how God created the earth. We can look and enjoy the beauty around us. Our sense of smell. Just now the food was so delicious. Did you smell the food? Yes, I did. And the touch that we enjoy as Adam drew Eve to himself, it was so satisfying. And Adam felt really good. So did Eve. But sin makes the sensual an end in itself when it's only a means to an end. In Genesis 2:9, we find that God is sensual because he made things that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. You know, why would God make eating such a pleasure? I don't know how many of you do not enjoy eating. Put up your hand. Would you like to have like God make us with a pump? And then at a certain time, we just pump food into the stomach directly? Oh, that would be so little fun, right? But God created us to enjoy the sense of taste. He made the taste buds so marvelous. How many of you have sharp taste buds? Put up your hand. That means you're very choosy when it comes to food, right? It must taste right. Not too sour, not too sweet, not too bitter. You can even tolerate bitter. But God believes in the senses. He created us with all the full range of enjoyment so that we could experience eating durian, for example. Oh, the thrill of eating durian. And satisfaction when we use the senses correctly. Heaven is a central place. We are going to enjoy it with our full range of senses. But in this world, unfortunately, when we worship the sense of taste, what do we end up with? A weight problem. When we worship the sense of touch and sex, we hurt others and we get ourselves into trouble. So, the devil is there to get us, but we were designed for variety. Adam was never bored. He had so many animals to run and play with, right? We were designed for variety. Boredom, it bothers us. You remember reading in Revelation 22:2 that the tree of life has how many different fruits? Anyone? 12, that's right. It says one for every month. I don't know, maybe there'll be more. There may be 3, 4 kinds all coming out on the same tree. But the tree of life has 12 different kinds of fruits. And maybe we will have 12 times the kinds of fruits we have on this earth. I was able to eat cherry strawberry, is that what it's called? Strawberry guava. I've never eaten that before, but I loved it. Yeah? So, remember, when God designed us, He designed us to enjoy the full range of our senses. God is a sensual God. And if used correctly, in its right place, it is true enjoyment to the fullest. Now, let's take a look at the biblical principles on sex. For every principle, I have the support of Scripture. Okay, 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 2 to 3 says, "But because there is so much sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife, each woman should have her own husband. The husband should fulfill his wife's sexual needs, and the wife should fulfill her husband's sexual needs." Sounds clear, right? Very clear that sexual relations are holy and good. Sex is holy, a gift from the hand of the Creator for us to enjoy, the same way when He made durians. A second verse. "Drink water from your own well. Share your love only with your wife. Why spill the water of your springs in the streets, having sex with just anyone? You should reserve it for yourselves. Never share it with strangers. Let your wife be a fountain of blessing for you. Rejoice in the wife of your youth. She is a loving deer, a graceful doe. Let her breast satisfy you always. May you always be captivated by her love." Straight from the Bible, folks. Sexual pleasure is healthy and expected. Unfortunately, many women especially, okay, and I suppose some men too, because you have been taught from small that sex is dirty, right? Am I right? Or you have had no sex education. How many of you had your parents talk to you about sex? Let me see your hand. Yeah. The vast minority, right? The vast minority. And it happens, especially in, my mother never talked to me about sex. Yep. Not a word. I learned about it because I was in camp. I went to a lot of camps with the young people, and I had older sisters in the church. who had menstruation and things like that, and they would talk to me about it. And that's how I learned about sex. Okay, of course, our pastors also spoke rather covertly about the matter, but they did try to teach us. And so a lot of women come to the conclusion that sex is only for procreation. After you have babies, that's it. End of story. They tell their husbands, no more. Okay? It is dirty. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. And if the husbands want sex, they say, oh, I have a headache today. Oh, it's menstruation, so I'm safe for 1 week. Yeah? Does that happen? And it's because many women think that sex is dirty. Maybe they think it came from the devil, I don't know. But it's a gift from the hand of God. God created sex. Philippians 2, 3, and 4 says, let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem each other better than himself. Let each of you look out not only for his own interests, but also for the interests of others. So the sexual act is other-centered. It's not for me. It's not to satisfy my urge, but it is for the mutual benefit of both parties. 1 Corinthians 7:4, the wife gives authority over her body to her husband, and the husband gives authority over his body to his wife. Okay? So in other words, we are giving to each other when we engage in sex. It's a time where we share what we have with the other person. The sexual act should be satisfying for both. And there needs to be a lot of conversation between the couple as to what works, what doesn't work. You know, there are some people who love to touch your ears. Have you met anybody like that? They love the ear. I don't know. It's so soft. It's so nice. Now, my husband tried doing that. I don't like it. Right? It's just not my thing. So I have to tell him. And he has stopped touching my ears. End of story. So we need to share with each other honestly what we like and what we dislike. 1 Corinthians 7:5, do not deprive each other of sexual relations, unless you both agree to refrain from sexual intimacy for a limited time, so you can give yourselves more completely to prayer. Afterward, you should come together again so that Satan won't be able to tempt you because of your lack of self-control. So the principle we draw from this is, it is normal to have sex regularly. Very normal. Okay, not just for procreation to make babies. Now let's look at some principles for intimacy. And you can jot down some questions as we go through these principles, and then we can answer them at the end of the seminar. Don't go to bed angry. This is in Ephesians chapter 4, verses 26 to 27. Can we really honestly resolve every problem that we have before we go to bed? Yes or no? What do you think? The Bible says, don't go to bed angry. If you are angry, can you sleep? Definitely not, right? So what's due in bed when you can tell your spouse, can we look at this tomorrow? Can we discuss this tomorrow? Let's not get angry. Here's my white flag. You to each other, understanding each other's needs. Okay, the Bible uses the term submit to one another. But it starts out with, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. So you are supposed to love your wife, men, just like Christ loved the church. And wives, submit yourselves to your husbands. Because the husband is head of the family. That's the reason that the Bible gives. Now, this term submit has been under a lot of scrutiny. Should wives always submit to their husbands? You know, before I got married, my husband and I went for premarital counseling. And our counselor told us, especially told me, he pointed at me, Sally, you remember this. And I've never forgotten it. Your success is yours alone. But your husband's success is your success as well. I guess he had observed me while I was in school. And I thought about it a lot as we got married. And of course, I read this Bible, which says, submit to your husband as to the Lord. As to the Lord, okay? You have to qualify it. It doesn't mean submit in everything, but as to the Lord. So there were times when my husband, being a pastor, had to move. Okay, we moved a lot in the first few years of our marriage. Now, if I had a job and he had to move, what does that mean? I've got to give up my job, right? Yeah. But I always remembered this counsel from our premarital counseling. And I always ensured that when it was a career choice, that I would submit. Because the Bible injunction is submit to your husband as unto the Lord. And he was working for the Lord. And if he's being sent from point A to point B, I got to go with him. And so everywhere we went, every move we made, no matter what, I felt that I had to give in and go with him. And it has worked out beautifully. There was a time when I was the president of a college, and all the gossip around was, she will never leave. My husband was called to go back to Singapore. And when I learned about that, I was fine with it, you know. Immediately I told him, you go, I will follow. And everybody was shocked that I would just up and go. But that's what I did. Because I felt that I needed to yield to my husband. Because he is the man, a career is very important to a man. In a later seminar, we will talk more about that. I will expand on that thought. And firewall your marriage. We have talked about it this morning, so I will not go into any more details on that. Recently, a lot of research has been done on the sexual aspect of marriage. There have been quite a number of books written on this topic, and I'm going to share them with you at the end. Some very recent ones that were written in 2023, 2024, and 2025. But in these books, it says that sex is the super glue that holds a marriage together. Okay? If you have a good sex life, you will have a good marriage. Okay? And sex is not dirty, it is holy, it came straight from the Creator's hand. Don't you dare say it is dirty. It is only dirty when it's messed up by the devil, as in pornography. Most men want to see their wives fulfilled. Did you know that, wives? They want to see you happy and fulfilled. And of course, I've mentioned this, many women think that sex is evil and dirty. And if you are one of them, then I would persuade you, please read about this very important aspect of marriage. Study it. Porn is the devil's best invention to kill a marriage. Okay? And pornography is a hidden sin in our churches today. It is done in private. Nobody knows about it. Only you and the Lord knows. But it's the best way to kill a marriage. Because when you are so fixated on images from a screen, which are fake, soon you lose the capability to connect with a real life human being in a sexual way. So a lot of men who are into pornography have sexual disorders. They can't function with their wives anymore. And I shouldn't say that of men, because there are some women who are into pornography as well. So it is really very, very unhealthy. Did you know a secret desire of men, and it comes from a lot of research. They want their wives initiate sex more often. Because in most cases, the men are the ones to initiate sex. And we'll find out soon why. A man needs 2 to 3 minutes of stimulation to have an orgasm, whereas a woman needs 10 times that amount of time. So, men, you've got to slow down and allow your wife to get into the right mood through stimulating her. And the key is the stimulation of the clitoris to experience orgasm in women. A man's orgasm lasts from 10 to 13 seconds. After that, they're satisfied, they roll over, and in 2 seconds, they are asleep. Whereas a woman's orgasm can last from 6 to 60 seconds, and many times throughout the day. Okay, that's the difference. As they think the warm feelings of love come back. Lovemaking is a give and take process. Communicate about how you would like your spouse to treat you, and vice versa. Okay? Talk about it. Discuss it. Experiment. Don't be boring. Remember, I said earlier, variety. God made variety. So try different methods, different positions. Be creative. No matter how tired a man is, he always has reserve energy for sex. Okay, women, Don't think your man comes there and says, oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I'm getting a holiday today. No. No matter how tired they are, they always have extra energy for sex. Now, there are many times that females experience problems in this area. And it's because there are some women who have no desire for sex. They're totally not interested, or they have an arousal problem, or an orgasmic problem, and they experience sexual pain. And when you encounter these problems, it's important to seek medical help. Go see a specialist, a sexologist, who can help you through some of these problems. Then, of course, there are also other psychological problems that hinder sexual fulfillment. Depression, guilt, right? Guilt from what? From previous sexual encounters, from playing around. Stress, past sexual abuse. Now, this is a biggie. Those people who have been sexually abused, they are affected for life unless they can unravel the knots of their sexual abuse through a trained counselor. Okay, I have encountered women who have kept it in their hearts for decades, and then it comes up to bother them. And unless they seek professional help, no amount of just kitchen counseling will help. Okay? They need to seek professional help. So if someone shares with you that they are having a problem, point them to a qualified sexologist or counselor. Premarital sex. Some people think that they should experiment before getting married so that they know what sex is all about. Now that is dangerous, because especially for women, all your previous sexual encounters will stay with you. Whenever you make love with your husband, it's as if you are making love with so many lovers, right? It's in your psyche, because we are women. It's hard to erase those experiences. And also some medications will lower the desire for sex. Okay, I'm not a medical doctor, so I will not say anymore. See a doctor, adjust the dosage on your medications if that is the problem. Some people have this predictable mechanical sex. It happens to people who have no knowledge about what sex is all about. I can think of a lot of examples in areas where there's no sex education, and the man to the man, it is something they do with a woman when they get married. So it's very mechanical. It's similar to sex between animals, just to fulfill an urge. And when the urge is fulfilled, when they ejaculate, that's it. Absence of non-sexual physical touching. This is linked to the previous one, where the sex is very mechanical. Outside of the bedroom, they don't touch their partners. They have nothing to do with them until they come into the bedroom, then they have sex. Premature ejaculation. This is for a lot of men who are inexperienced in this area. And you can learn techniques to delay ejaculation. Or the other extreme is impotence, erectile challenges. Sometimes there are certain diseases that bring about this when you take medications and you cannot maintain erection. Orgasmic dysfunction. There are some people who do not know how to attain an orgasm, mostly women. Frigidity, like they are stiff, they cannot relax, sex is painful, and so they avoid it. Now, that said, if let's say as couples age, many men lose the desire for sex, okay? Maybe at the beginning of the marriage, they do it 3 times a week. Then it becomes 2 times a week. And then when they approach their 60s or 70s, they just try very weakly to do it, okay? But there are many other types of intimacy. If you have a medical issue, for example, and the man cannot sustain an erection, there are many other types of intimacy with your spouse that you can enjoy. Okay? Sexual intimacy is only one kind. What are the other kinds? Creative intimacy, the satisfaction of creating together, making a baby. Intellectual intimacy. I enjoy this a lot with my husband, a meeting of minds, okay, where we discuss approaches like we've been doing as a team ministry, family seminars. How are we going to do this? And my husband brings to the table his perspective of things. And I really enjoy that, and we have incorporated our ideas together to come up with many of our seminars. Engaging in social activities together. Okay, I think in church you get a lot of this. Bonding emotionally. Yeah, this is especially important for the women. Bonding emotionally. Aesthetic intimacy, sharing what is beautiful. Going on trips, going on a cruise, right? Visiting places, visiting the art museum, enjoying what is aesthetics. Work intimacy. Okay, those of you who enjoy work, you can work together, build things together, work on projects together. Okay, I'm so glad that my husband and I had 40 good years of doing this, working on projects together. And spiritual intimacy. Actually, my husband and I started this way. Okay, we were very involved with our Adventist young people in the church. We were leaders. We enjoyed working on planning programs, planning camps, planning this and planning that. And then we went out on Sabbaths to give Bible studies. Before we had this series called The Bible Says. And we would give lessons to several homes that we would visit together or teach them the Bible. So spiritual intimacy is a good way to express intimacy for each other. I showed this slide earlier on today, right? But I want to read it again because it's so beautifully expressed. In the Adventist home, page 106, continue the early attentions. In every way, encourage each other in fighting the battles of life. Study to advance the happiness of each other. If in the area of sex you have problems, let's study what needs to be done. Go consult a specialist. See somebody who can help you. Let there be mutual love, mutual forbearance. Then marriage, instead of being the end of love, will be, as it were, the very beginning of love. It is the little attentions, the numerous small incidents and simple courtesies of life that make up the sum of life's happiness. And it is the neglect of kindly, encouraging, affectionate words and the little courtesies of life which makes life unbearable. Last night we had a care group meet in Wilson and Candy's home, and I talked about kindness, right? Just being kind to each other. We all think we are quite kind, actually, but in reality, we are not. Okay? But we need to pay attention to these little things. It's not the big things, it's the little things that add up to life's happiness within the family and in couple relationship. Yes, the little attentions, the numerous and small incidents. As we go along in our seminars over these 2 weekends, we will do some exercises that will help you to open up to each other. And I hope that we'll be able to just pay attention to those little small incidents and simple courtesies that will make life and your marriage a lot happier. Be patient, kind, and forbearing, considerate and courteous. By the grace of God, you can succeed in making each other happy as in your marriage vow you promised to do. That is from Ellen White. Okay, resources that you can read on understanding this aspect of marriage intimacy. Okay, I want to point out the last 2 books. Actually, all of them are good, but Michael Sisma and Shaunti Feldhahn, they have done a lot of research. Michael Sisma is in the area of sexology. Okay, he's an expert in that area. Shaunti is a researcher, and she has chosen to specialize in the family ministries. She is an international speaker. She's invited all over the world. You can invite her if you want. And if you are interested, let me know. I'll give you her contact. She's a very good speaker. She and Jeff went into this ministry several years ago, and she has written quite a bit on marriage, on understanding the sexes, and many other books. Okay? So, I'm open now for Q&A.